Watch BadEmpanada's criticism. It'd be good to respond to some actual good crit instead of the context vomit. I would rather kill myself in a video game than do that. Okay? And I will say it once again, because I did spend the entire morning duking it out with dumb chatters about how stupid this is. Okay? And I haven't watched it. And I probably will never watch it. Okay? I'm going to maintain this position that I've had in perpetuity. You can disagree with my methods. You can disagree with them all day, every day. Okay? That's fine. But if you come in here and constantly turn the thing that I'm trying to do into, what I'm trying to do here into, like, respond to BadEmpanada's criticisms, I don't want you in this community. Okay? You are just as annoying as Ethan Klein supporters. The only difference is Ethan Klein supporters agree with Ethan's criticisms. Okay? And they want me to address them. You just agree with BadEmpanada's criticisms and you want me to address them. All this devolves into is drama. Okay? This is not a moment for sectarian infighting. I don't care. Okay? If you think that I'm sheepdogging people back into the liberal Zionist position or the Democratic Party or whatever the you think is happening, then sure, okay, that's what I'm doing, all right? This is not because I am afraid of criticism either, mind you, okay? It's because I think it's wholly unproductive and it devolves into misunderstandings no matter how hard I try. I'm trying to avoid that because I need to cover the news and I need to get people on board. I'm especially not going to do that for a person who I agree with on the issues. Like, if BadEmpanada tomorrow magically turned into a defender of Israel, trust me, I would be talking about it, all right? I'd be talking about it every dang day. But as long as he is not, I don't give a shit. Sino-Soviet split happening in real time. Yeah, look, I'm gonna hope that you're joking, because it is not that, and it is utterly inconsequential shit that you're gonna forget about tomorrow. Okay, it's unproductive. My standards for allegiance, of course, is going to be different for someone who is a legislator with a track record that I align with more often than not, as opposed to some streamer or YouTube content creator. If you find yourself convinced by the messages, if you find yourself convinced by, I don't know, BadEmpanada's video, I don't know what to tell you. Gifted subs discount? Yeah, gifted subs are discounted. If you want to support the stream, this is your opportunity. I like you both. He makes some good points. No, he doesn't. You're just too stupid. I'm sorry. And I promise you, he'd be way meaner to you if he was live streaming and you went up to him with some dumb shit like this. I work within the existing framework and try to use, I'll give you 500 subs if you read this now. No, you won't. In a sea of disinformation about my message, about what I represent, as I'm actively trying to come up with messaging that is more palatable to the average person, fully cognizant of the average American's frame of reference in terms of like socialism or any sort of anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist thought, I am not going to change my methods because someone has a more radical perspective than me in terms of messaging and in terms of methods. That's it. Especially when that person doesn't live in the United States of America. That's it. It's also extra stupid because we pretty much agree on everything. The thing we don't agree on is how to get there. That's what's so stupid about this. BadEmpanada and many others do not agree that the genocide in Palestine can be compromised based on domestic issues. That is his disagreement. He doesn't just agree but wanting to be more radical or whatever. Oh, wow. So we do actually agree with one another. That's crazy. Did I say it's a compromisable position? Was there a moment? Can you point to a moment where I said that? This is precisely, what are you not getting? There's a lot that you don't get. This framing is incorrect. How is endorsing Bernie not compromising? Oh my God. I think you are too stupid to understand many things. let alone what I'm trying to do here. Bernie's endorsing me, not the other way around. Okay? Bernie is a significantly more popular figure in American politics than someone like myself. Do I have to spell it out to you? I am not going to spend any moment that I have, especially let alone 9 minutes before a rally, trying to do a gotcha moment to be like, why are you not sufficiently pro-Palestine? Do you want to know why? Because there is a time for that, and I want to have that conversation with Bernie Sanders. But the reason why that's not the moment to have that conversation, even though I tried to breach the subject matter initially, is because my position on this is one that I arrived at after looking at the entirety of the American Congress as it stands. The argument that I make is simple. If every single American congressperson... No. We're not going to do this, by the way. We're not going to do this, okay? We're not going to do this. I don't care about your perspective. I'll be honest with you. Surely, collaborating with him. Yeah, I know. I am. And also, by the way, it's because I love genocide. It's because I love the genocide of the Palestinians. That's why I'm collaborating with Bernie Sanders. Okay? Don't listen to my words at all. Don't even listen to it. Yes. Are you even an American is the real question that I want to ask here. Do you live in the United States of America? Are you aware of American Congress and their perspective that they have that is directly at odds, if not diametrically opposed to the majority attitude towards Israel? No, you're not. Okay, shut the up and listen to my words now. I'm speaking. Hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from, because you don't know anything. You don't understand anything. You're just trying to do drama. Okay, you're trying to reduce the conversation to BadEmpanada, which you are hailing as like the singular champion of the pro-Palestinian position. So listen to my words, okay? If every single congressperson reflected Bernie's attitude on Israel, there would be no apartheid, nor would there be a genocide. If you think that that is not the case, you are delusional. Does that mean that I agree with Bernie Sanders across the board, or even at all when in the way that he when he messages on the issue of Israel, where he refuses to say Israel but simply says Netanyahu, where he refuses to say genocide but simply says war? Of course I don't agree with that. Okay? I don't actually think this is drama. I don't agree with him on all issues. This is a legitimate disagreement. I don't care. BadEmpanada at the end of the day is, I hate to say this, irrelevant. Okay? That's the point. It doesn't matter. No, you're turning it into drama. I'm irrelevant at the end of the day. Do you understand? BadEmpanada and myself are just farting into the wind. We have nothing. We have no way of changing power. BadEmpanada even less than me. So no, these are not actually serious intellectual differences that we are actually, having significant disagreements of thought on. No, it's one content creator who lives in Argentina yelling about another content creator who lives in Los Angeles about how they are not sufficiently defending the Palestinian emancipatory movement. It is the most irrelevant thing that could have ever happened. It is literally less relevant than Ethan Klein doing genocide apologia to a massive platform. Okay? That's how irrelevant it is. Because on the issue of Ethan, many of you come in here and say, talk about his tattoo. I don't give a about his tattoo. You know what I care about? Him saying it's appropriate to bomb hospitals because Hamas has built bases under hospitals. That's appropriate. That's something to talk about. That's important to talk about, because here we have yet another content creator who ostensibly has somewhat of a progressive base of support doing genocide apologia to 20,000, 30,000 people. That's relevant, not only to me, but the pro-Palestinian emancipatory cause. Okay? Having a conversation with Bernie Sanders where I try to broach the subject matter only to have it end with, they have to leave, with the hopes that I'll be able to have another conversation down the line as I actively and openly disagree with his approach to Israel, Palestine, but still want to get him and AOC and anyone else that will listen to me on board with what the Department of Homeland Security and ICE is doing, at least at the domestic level, on the basis of unjustifiably kidnapping and disappearing pro-Palestinian dissidents for no reason other than the fact that the DHS chose to do this, arguing and getting them on board to mobilize against this on First Amendment grounds is an infinitely more productive approach to this subject matter. Okay? That's it. Because I know, especially when considering Bernie Sanders' track record on this issue, this is something that he has actively criticized the American government on. It's something that he's criticized AIPAC on. Okay? That's it. You have fairly criticized Bernie on his stand for the genocide, but that doesn't mean that Bernie has done positive things for the American working class. I guess they see this as a compromise. No, it's not even about that either. I mean, that plays a role in this. That definitely plays a role in this. But beyond that, I'm trying my very best to use the broad popular momentum that Bernie and AOC are building to actually get more issue specific and expand on the organizing that they're engaging in, and also urge them to mobilize. This will double down on their message anyway, especially if they are able to successfully change certain things or successfully disrupt the government and undermine their position that wants to erode constitutional protections. Because I'm not thinking just about what's right in front of me. There is a reason, I understand, why the American government is doing this right now. They're doing this to create a chilling effect on any sort of demonstration whatsoever. Okay? They want to stop all protests, not just pro-Palestinian protests, but they certainly want to stop all pro-Palestinian protests. If you make it so that they lose on this issue anywhere, even for once, that we stop one deportation, that is the moral position on that alone. But having said that, that actually has major repercussions. It snowballs into an opportunity for people to freely demonstrate once again. Because as long as people are afraid of mobilizing because they will be deported or they will be thrown into an El Salvadorian labor prison, they're not going to mobilize. So unless your advocacy revolves around, I don't know, like firebombing Elbit systems or whatever, okay, which is something that I think BadEmpanada can do if he chooses to do so because he's in Argentina, okay, shut the up. That's not my position, by the way. I'm not saying that. I disavow. I don't want to get disappeared. It's so funny. Everybody just wants to do this, and they don't even want to do this in front of Congress, in front of congresspersons, in front of people with actual power. They just want to do this anonymously at a Twitch streamer who's trying to do their best. I spammed this a couple days ago, but you unfortunately didn't say, why do activists constantly do things where they outflank people on their own side? My wife is Palestinian. She likes Bernie, but is understandably annoyed. She loves you, though, and is able to understand that you can't be extremely combative on interviews, especially with people who are on our side. It never ceases to amaze me. Also, as long as Bernie is not diametrically opposite to my point of view, I look at Congress and I grade it on a curve. Like, that's it. It's not something that I'm shy about revealing about myself either. Yes, I rate Bernie Sanders' messaging, rhetoric, legislative agenda, things that he has ran on, like cutting off funding to Israel the first time he ran for office, as infinitely more quote-unquote radical, even though it's the moral position and the correct position, infinitely more radical than 99% of American Congress. What the are we doing here? No, I'm not saying go criticize Republicans, okay? I'm not saying that either. Because I'm not like the Democratic Party being like, don't yell at me. I don't even mind the criticism in general. But this one is wrong. Like, you will never be able to convince me that my methods are incorrect and yours is the appropriate method, especially when yours is devoid of any sort of like, here's what you should be doing. That's the other side. That's incredibly annoying. I'm sorry, guys. Good luck. When you have 34,000 people showing up to your rally, I'll listen to what you've been doing, okay? And I'll try to change your perspective. But until then, you have nothing. Okay? I have nothing. We're all losers. Like, it's so idiotic. Why do you platform two incredibly popular American Congress people that are closest to your position overall? Is like hilarious. Okay, yeah, thank you. You did it. Yes. How are you any different at that point than like the way that MAGA communists chirp about this shit? On that issue, you guys are aligned entirely, it seems.
In any event,